Okay, how you going there, traders? Hope you can all hear me loud and clear. Just give me a yes if you can hear me okay. Just before we get up and running. I see a few more people coming. It might be a quieter day today, I'm guessing. Hey, how you going, Helen? All right, so we're all good to go. John, g'day. Gary, how are you? All right, let's get up and racing, guys. Just letting you know in advance, on Thursday, we won't be doing a live stream on Thursday. Won't actually be in on Thursday. We'll be at the races, so a bit of whining and dining and meeting up with a few people. So that won't be going ahead on, but we'll be back in on the following Monday, so Monday next week. Everything will be up and running again, so that'll be good. Probably a fairly quiet day today. I say it's quiet here in Melbourne anyway. The day before the Melbourne Cup. Hope everyone's got a few plans for the Melbourne Cup, the big race. I don't follow the races as much, but it's good fun just going there occasionally. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm still trying to get myself sorted slowly, bit by bit, with the internet. So it looks like my internet's up and running, except they haven't sent the modem out yet to get up and running. So still going from the phone. Yeah, to be honest, I would not have a clue. Yeah, I know nothing about horses. We used to go quite a bit with the old company I worked for, and a lot of the traders, they all seemed to be into the horse racing. They knew everything about it. I had no idea. Mind you, a lot of them couldn't trade at all, so it's a different story there. All right, let's get going then. So Friday night, not a lot happening on Friday night. In the US, it did kick higher. The interesting thing was we saw the DAX index, so that's the German index. That kicked high I think it was into new all-time highs, and the same with the FTSE. I'll just grab those up now. We'll just have a quick look at those while we're talking about them. So I think it's kicking along strongly over there. It's doing quite nice. I've just got to find out how I get them again. Indices, there we go. So the DAX. Yeah, look at that. That's into new all-time highs again. So that's ticking away nicely. It was the night before. Let's see what their monthly is. So you can see that chart. See how it's just from left to right. We're holding some high lows here, here, here. Nice bit of bouncing around here. Then it took off. I thought we may react off these highs just once we met those highs, but we pretty much pushed through. Bit of a flush out of those highs, bit of a pullback, and then boom, off we go again. So it's looking really nice in the DAX. Still looking strong. The FTSE's pretty much, actually they didn't make new highs, did they? I thought they did actually. Or am I wrong again? No, looks like they didn't. So FTSE not quite as good. That is reacting off those highs just below 76. But just if you do trade the FTSE, anyone trades this index, just watch that it doesn't just contract itself and then bang, up she goes and blasts straight through the previous highs around, I think it's 70, 76. Does anyone trade these European indices? I know I used to trade the DAX a bit, which was a bit of good fun. Used to trade options on the FTSE a lot. That was back in probably 2000, 2001 too. When I first started, straight into the options markets. We did a bit on the DAX as well, but mainly the FTSE we were trading, so not so much the index itself. So I haven't got too familiar with that. So they're going quite nice. Of course, the Dow, new all-time highs on Friday. That's a daily chart. Let's just get a bit closer on that. All-time highs. Same with the S&P. We closed an all-time highs on that? I thought we did on that. What's that high? 2588.4, 2588.42. There we go. Just only barely by the skin of their teeth on Friday night. They had payrolls out Friday night. Yeah, the DAX, if anyone doesn't know, look, it's not for the faint-hearted, is it? Helen, if you've had a bit of a go at that, I know Davin used to trade it a bit and he loved it and it was really good. The thing is as long as you're, I think anyway, as long as you're good with your risk on the DAX, there can be times when it can just blast you out of the water. I'm the kind of bloke that would hold a hard stop on the DAX. I'm not the best at taking the stops. I'd rather have a hard stop so I wouldn't have to second guess myself. I would chuck in a hard stop and they would really there's sometimes you see if you're on the right side of the DAX, it moves like a rocket. So there's really good volatility when it's going. I was more than happy to risk half, was 8 points on that. 8 points on the DAX, and the payoff, you know, even when you get it wrong, you can get 8 to 10 points up your sleeve quite easily. So it was a really good mover, some really good volatility. So intraday trading was really nice on the DAX. Whereas you look at, say, the SPY, the equivalent over here in Australia, it's not, I don't think it's anything like it. They have a couple of moves during the day. You see a couple of good setups, maybe one prime setup, maybe another half decent setup. And if you miss them, it sort of can be all over on the Aussie market. At night, the spreads are far too wide, I think. You know, trading the SPY overnight is a bit tough. Whereas the DAX, you know, the spreads are tight. There's heaps of volume as well, more than enough volume. The same with the S&P, and the moves can be really good. The Dow's a bit the same. So if anyone want to have a bit of a play and have a bit of fun, try it on the CFD first, I'd say. Yeah. No, it is pretty wild. I remember once I was trading it, and I think I had a partial exit at up 20 points, and it was sitting around up 18, and then next thing you knew, I was up 45 points. It just instant, bang. And I happened to take a partial, and then I thought, let's let it go, and then it was up 60 points, bang, took another partial, that was it. It was all over. It can really go like a rocket. So anyway, that's interesting if you want to get into that sort of stuff. Let's take a look at the XJO at the moment. Let's just type that in. It's still, look, it's steaming away quite nicely. It's just getting that. You can see we've taken out these recent highs of 59.56. So we've just took that out. Did we take it out then? Yeah, so that was Thursday. Even before that, was it? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. Even Wednesday we took it out. So we're just edging through those highs, the previous highs now, just edging away up. It doesn't look too convincing, this price action, but this is the kind of thing it could just grind people out of the market. So this is where if you're not shorting off anything solid, as in, you know, you're not looking for your setups properly, or you're not shorting off in a nice setup, you probably can get ground back out of the market, just squeeze back out of the market. And this is the kind of thing that where people do, they sell on stop here, or sorry, they sell, just sit on the offer, which means sit on the offer. It means just sitting there with a limit order in the market. You might get pushed into the market and then just squeeze back out as it pushes through these highs. So people do it all the time. I'd rather see that lower high, work off a lower high like this, if you can see just previously. So that market could just be chewing up the fuel and continue up through that 6,000 mark and see, is it 6,000? And then that's, well, probably don't need to go that. That's a weekly. That 6,000 mark from back in 2015, March 2015. So it's getting awfully close now. I expect it to push through. It's another 50 points away at the moment. We're down 9. So I do think that's just going to grind its way higher, especially after this kind of base through here, you know, chopping a few people out, and that looked like it was going to roll over, and that's enough fuel just to squeeze them back out and just blast through 6,000. We'll see how we go anyway. So the US on Friday night had their payrolls out, had some good, I think, earnings from Apple. They beat estimates. The new iPhone X is out. I think that's doing quite well, but the iPhone 8 was, you know, a bit of a basket case. And I don't know what the logic behind that was, releasing one and releasing a new one straight after, a few months later. So they're doing quite well. So there's a couple of good earnings out in the US, which kicked it higher. They had payrolls out, which were, they're good, but it's in line with, yeah, down to 4 hours. So you see the, what was I saying just then? So I'm reading comments, getting myself sidetracked. Oh, the payrolls. So it's pretty much in line with the Fed Reserve, what they're looking at. They're looking at inflation without anything getting out of hand. So there's no pressure to the upside on any inflationary numbers. Same, so it's pretty much that sort of thing happened on Friday night with the payrolls. They come out in line, a little bit better, but nothing too much to worry about. The US dollar reacted a bit, so it wasn't anything to get out of hand on Friday night, which means I thought we would have popped up a bit better today. We did pop up in the open, and it looks like we backed off, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So you're saying, Helen, on the 4 hourly chart on the ASX200, not a very good red, bit of a red candle there. Actually, I haven't got it up here, so I'll see if I can. Let me just see if I can actually get that up, and we'll have a quick look at it. Just one take. Are you trading? Anyone trading the ASX at the moment? Are you looking at the ASX200 or the SPY? I can get both up here. I'll look at the SPY futures. I just think that's quite a half. Let me bring that across here. ASX200. Okay, so I got the SPY here. Yeah, that's reacted quite hard off these highs, didn't it? Was that the open there? Six. So that was actually opened down. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's not looking the world's best, but I sort of look at that as, whoa. Jeez, I don't know what that candle was. A bit of a random thing. So there's a couple of good candles down here on the 4 hourly chart, but I'm still looking at, this is a key level, 59.09 for me anyway. If it can just hold a high low, it can pretty much hold a high low where it is. That would be nice, and I think it's got a bit of work to do, probably into the close. And you can see we're getting a bit stretched down here from Friday night's price action, which tends to happen a bit, flush a few people out, and then you'll probably find it can start building and working its way higher at night and through the week. We'll see how it goes. So what do we got? I'll just go over to the other shares. Oh, AC8. I haven't alerted this one, guys. This is what I've been following myself. That's another cannabis stock, AC8. It's just starting to kick through that previous high here, which is quite nice. You can see the market's been working its way lower. Weekly probably looks a bit better. Had a good run up, bit push back up, built that lower high there, but just holding now, starting to hold a higher low just in here around 40. Sorry, someone's calling, I don't know what, that'll be right. Starting to push up, so it's actually not looking too bad at the moment. Oh, what's going on here? Can you all still hear me quite clearly, guys? Just looked like the stream dropped out. Let me just refresh. All right, that's all good. All right. Sorry in advance if I'm just having a few issues with the stream. It's yeah, still going through the mobile. It seems to be going along. If you drop out, just let me know. I'll just try to refresh the actual your web page. I just lost you. Yeah, I've got a feeling someone called through, and it's just all right. No, that's okay. All right, we're all good. So it looks like we could all be up and running still. All right, that's one we got. We'll just go through what we've got at the moment. We don't have a lot. So we're probably only down to about 5 stocks. We had about eight previously. We're down to 5, and we've taken partials on 4. TAW, we've taken a partial on previously, which is that. That's just starting to kick up. That's really nice. It's in a good little spot, so it's washed out a few people. It's just still holding those high lows ever so slowly, and you can see the strength in that move down. It's gone from overbought to oversold. Just really pushed down, starting to get a bit of kick up. If we can get this holding here and some buyers start to step back into the market and really start to soak up that selling pressure and push it back up through 40, that would be great. Would really enjoy watching that. MGE. We've just put out an alert today, if anyone that's following that one. That's Magellan Global Equities Fund, the ETF. Just keep an eye on that one. It's just getting up into a zone around, it's probably just touched on it. Where's my mouse? We're just getting up into that highs of 299, so we traded there, I think, today. Yeah, we traded up into highs of 299 as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we just react off that zone. We've just tightened up our stop. We've taken a partial at 294. Just tightened the stop up to 291 on the remaining. Only because I think this could, if it's going to roll over off that level, I expect it to make a deeper correction. We can potentially just trade it again, see how we go. Like on this weekly, yeah, maybe. Otherwise, I actually, just by that price action, you'd expect it to push through. So if it doesn't here, it's essentially your double top, and we'll just have to watch it. I'd rather be on the sidelines just watching it from here. What else we got? So that's MGE, ResMed. Yeah, it's back up today. We managed to take a partial by about a cent or two, 11.15. I think it got 11.16 or 17. What was that day? 11.17.5. So that was good luck, really, on that one. Or good trading, who knows? That's Optus 100 speed for you. Yeah, no, I guess I agree with you. So that's still ticking away. We can see if they can kick on a bit. It's getting a bit extended up here. If anyone's jumping and buying here, it's probably a bit of a risky trade, I would expect, up here. But we've taken that partial. Still no reason why to exit yet. That market's still looking really good. I think that's still looking quite strong. That could really get a bit of a run on and get a big... I'm still looking for that exhausted move when it just spikes up higher. And it's probably better on the weekly chart. It hasn't really done that. It's been quite controlled. Buyers, there's a little push up, bit of a pullback, get some buying back in, buyers step back in at higher prices, holding higher lows, and away it goes again. Hasn't really... I'd want to see a bit of that move where it's just a strong move up and then potentially close out the remaining. But that's still got some good legs to it, I think. APT's back up again today. Looking very nice on that one. I can't remember where we took our partial on that. But we have taken a partial on this one here. I think it was up around the 550. Let me just see. 508. Oh, bummer. So we took it just as it pushed up through 5. Not the ideal one. It would have been nice around 550 if getting those highs, but you can't help that. So we're pretty much got our stop, I think, still at 508 on that, if I'm not wrong. Where are we? 508. Yep. So I reckon that's going to go straight through these highs and make some new highs. It's looking really strong, this one. You can just see it hasn't had a lot of price action. You can see that move just grind sideways there. That's when it changed names just back then. We traded it before that. I think we closed out somewhere here, so a bit of a kick in the pants that it kept going, but that's the way it goes. That price action is still looking really good. That's a beautiful day today. So I like that one. What am I doing here? That's about it. Elders. So Elders is the last one. We haven't taken a partial on, I don't think, but we're not going to lose on that one. We've tightened our stop up to just above break even. So either way, it's going to do okay. I would expect that to keep going. I'm still it's sort of in no man's land just at the moment. If you can see across from these highs, which are somewhere around 535 thereabouts, just across at these highs, 530. Hasn't reached there yet. There's no real level that it's going to react off. So I expect just some buyers to start stepping in, soaking up that selling, and pushing it back up, potentially reacting off 530. So be happy up there to take a partial exit. Otherwise, you can just blast through and take out these highs up towards 560. We'll see how that goes, though. You can see that weekly starting to get a bit extended up here. I wouldn't mind seeing it a bit higher before we took a partial, but we'll see how that one goes. Either way, we'll just have to sit back and wait on that one. But that's about it, guys. Any questions just on those? I'm seeing a lot of these little miners are starting to run. There's been quite a few that I am absolutely kicking myself on that we missed it. I was going to... Anyone remember WHA? I was going to alert that before the open and just... I was going to alert that on Friday also, just for a bit of a buy through those little highs. Can everyone see those highs that I'm talking about? It was just through, so that one there, high 170. You can see it's actually open today. We'd open 170 right on that high and just took off. So that would have been nice to get that, but that's obviously looking a bit stretched just the way it is at the moment. That's Wattle Health, WHA. That's a cracker. We missed the entry somewhere around here. I don't know if you remember we spoke about that one just below $1. I was looking around 97.98, missed that, and tell you what, that would have been nice. So that's one that's kicked on strong. I think the other one's ZNO. ZNO, no, it's not that. There's been a few that I think we said it a while ago. I don't know if you remember. Sometimes they just don't, you know, if you're waiting for that high low or that pullback, sometimes they just don't do it. So, yeah, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So the ideal setup that I tend to wait for and just like to see, sometimes it's, you know, the stock may warrant a more aggressive trade, but you know, there's more than enough around the trade, but you can just see that some of them are going on with it. It's quite a good market at the moment. The other one, MVP, I don't know if anyone's followed us with this one here. That's just kicked up. That's going really nicely. I wouldn't be surprised if I get a bit of an announcement out soon. Someone's buy the rumor, sell the fact. It's just getting up through those highs at 685. I wouldn't be surprised if it breaks through there today. That's the weekly chart there. Very, very nice. We've been following this one for quite a while. I actually do hold it myself. We haven't alerted it on the app, only because we do hold it, but we did mention it. I think Davin mentioned it last week as well. It looks really nice. You can see the markets hold high lows, really had that push up on news, and then a lot of those late buyers got pushed back out of the market, and it started holding these high lows again over the last, pretty much since the start of the year, and looking really nice. And you can see it kept chopping a few people out, and just this price action here, and it's led to that the next leg up, and it's a really strong day today, so that's looking great. What else we've been talking about recently? FMG. Still think that's a bit of a rubbish at the moment. That's I don't know if anyone holds. It's one of those things. Look at FMG. It is in a nice little spot where it could drag in a few buyers here, but the daily's just not showing it for me just at the moment. You want to pop up through 5. You want to see a good little run up through 5. Something like this. Maybe not exactly that. Pop up through 5, pull back, maybe retest it, hold a higher low, and then go. Then I'll be, and that's basically off that 450 zone. That would be quite nice if we can get. I still think it's got a lot of work to do before we get up through 6 and get up through 7 and so on. This may be a longer. You can see those highs way back in 2011. Retested those through 7. That was rejected off that zone. You know, sellers come back in, especially after the leg up we had through 2016. You know, that really got extended pretty much from $1.50 up to, I think it was around $1.50 up to $7 without much breathing room at all. And it just pushed straight up, washed it out, and started flushing out a few of these late buys just in here. Whether we're going to hold up above 450 and start holding some higher lows and start retesting 6 up towards 6. Still think it's going to take a long time to do that before we can get up and through, you know, $6, but we'll see how that goes. Can't think of anything else. Is there anything you want to take a look at, guys? Chuck it in the chat. I'm just trying to think what else we may have. Wrap is another one we've spoken about recently. That's starting to show some signs of life. You can see that it's definitely probably going to. Things like this do take a lot of, you know, once they gap down, it takes a lot of time just to wash out those traders. Just got to recycle them, put them back on the sidelines. There'll be a few people that held it through here. Maybe hold it like I did actually. I held it in the gap. Had a little pop up. Took a buy in here, make some profit. So my net's about break even at the moment, even after holding some. I'm just through above 30. But I think it's going to take some time. It has taken quite a bit of time just to wash out some of those traders, put them back on the sidelines, and then you may see that it's holding higher lows now, and it's starting to see those little pop up, you know, a bit of a pullback, hold a higher low, and then pop up again. Sooner or later, that's going to get a bit of head of steam. Wouldn't be surprised if it's through 10 head of steam, and I expect it to start looking to close that gap up towards 20. You know, Wrap, not a bad story at all. I don't think they had a bad, some rubbish testing. They stuffed up their testing pretty much. But in the way of fundamentals, their product is quite good. I think it's quite good. They've got a good refund from the government on some of the money they lost on the rubbish testing. Now they're going to go through the process, I think, towards the end of this, well, probably now and up and towards the end of the year, where they're going to do that testing again, and they make sure the process implemented is correct and it's done correct, so they don't have that problem again. And then you know, if they get the same sort of results as what they expected, or some of the results come through previously on the previous test, some of the ones they can identify that were done correctly were really good. So if they get a whole bunch that are like that, it sort of solidifies the story, I think, and you probably see this start to tend up towards 30 cents again. So that's starting to show some good signs. Nendo Yeah, it's probably a bit too early just at the moment. I think it's that this is a minor level just in here, high of 8.4. We've got 8.3 today, so we haven't quite got up through that high. So I could just back off, or we could just push up towards the end of the day. You can see the volume is not too high. It hasn't really picking up, but it's just one to definitely keep an eye on. If we can get through this, maybe 8.4, you might get it spike up to 10. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes around that 10-cent mark again. All right, ATC, what do we got? Div is now over 9% on FMG for portfolios. Agree. So you might get a few dividend buyers. Now, what's the first one we'll jump into? ATC, what is that? Chemicals. It's quite a small one there. I mean, it's fairly clear through here. You've got this high low at 10 cents. I'm just going to go through. So the market's worked its way down to just above 4-5 cents. It's pushed back up. Probably some news. It's around here. End of 2015. It held a higher low. You can see it's quite whippy, this price action, quite choppy. It's really spiky to the upside. It spikes up and then you get these late buys being flushed back out of the market, another spike up. So it's holding a higher low just in here, around 8, spiked up, pulled back down to 10, popped back up that lower high, but it was supported at 10. Got down to 9.9 there, I'd say. But anyway, it's close enough, 9.8. So it's at 10, so that's produced another higher low. It hasn't broken through that 20-cent mark, these previous highs. So there could be still a bit of chop, and you can see it's sort of spiked up there again the last few days, a few days ago. So it's looking good longer term. You just want to see if you can work off a higher low. It's a bit of a tough one. Probably here's a nice little entry if you're looking at it previously. Actually, I'll draw it up there for you, Nandor. It's, for me, just looking at this one here, it's a tougher one might be a tougher one to trade because it is so choppy and gets a bit whippy. No, that's not really good, is it? Whoopsie daisy. Sorry guys, wasn't really prepared this morning. So it's got a high low here. It's got that high low. Oh, we'll just draw that back. You can see just in here, off those lows. So it is working its way up, pop, push back up. It's choppy around here. What you'd want ideally is a little entry if you can see it, just like that. If you can get a little entry like that, where it can pull back, and it's where it's popped up to say just below 20. If you can have a decent correction, just to flush out a few of those late ones, but hold a higher low. If you can just get that inside level, I love those type of trades where you can inside level here. You know exactly where your risk is, and that we call it an inside continuation trade, which is this one. Whereas a few sellers that have stepped in expecting it to push down through 10 and it turns around and reverses on them, they're the ones going to be chasing their tail, trying to get back out again. Or there's buyers there that will start chasing it up. You get some breakout traders up towards the highs. You get a whole lot of fuel that can help you helps move that price higher. So I'd like to see something like that before I'd ideally like to jump into this one. It's quite low too. It's not trading a lot by the looks of it. Quite a small share, so it can get, if it's going to run on with it and get through 20, it could really go on hard. So it could be one definitely to get into. Either way, it's looking like, longer term, it's holding its own there. So I was on the weekly there, but the same thing. If you can get that high low and get that inside high low, would be ideal. We're at BSX. What is BSX? Talk about small. Blackstone Minerals Limited. It's definitely going the right way. It's the only thing I don't like here. You can see this recent move up. It really had a couple of good green candles. It just smashed through the high before it got extended up here, and it sort of matched those legs, those previous legs up. Have you got this one, Helen? Yeah. So you can leg up here, leg up here. So they're all pretty much even. I think at the moment it's just starting to look like it's a bit extended, and that's a bit of divergence. So there's probably a few technical traders looking at that thinking, oh, it's a bit of a sell. So it'd be interesting to see if we can hold here and then just blast up through and continue it, you know, to extend for another leg up. You're sort of looking at that one going 1, 2, 3 legs up, and they're not parabolic, if you know what I'm saying, where you get, if I can draw it with this one, where you get these sort of move, you know, and then the market starts going on little pullbacks, where the pullbacks get shallower, and then it starts edging up like that. So, whoa, does that make sense? Where it starts going vertical. It hasn't really done that. It's just been up, spiked up, you know, contracted. So it's getting up, down, up, down, up, down. Then it starts holding a high low. Then you get that little run up. It's doing the same thing over and over again. This time it looks a bit different for me. And it's starting to get up into those highs around 45. Yeah, it's taken a bit of effort just to get up there. This little washout down wasn't much at all before it popped up again. It's just pushing up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a deeper correction on this one. Whoop, I might as well just use a straight line now. Does that make sense? But either way, it's heading in the right direction. We may just get a pullback to 35. Another pullback here. Wash out 35, and then bang, it's still going to hold the trend up. And we hold a... And it's washed out a few more traders. So I think with this one, it just needs to wash out a few more people. But we'll see. Could be wrong. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. It's a nice, it's a good looking chart. It's just a bit thin. It's not something I could go out and alert, to be honest. What else? We've got BSX. That wasn't Colin, sorry. Nan. That's something I haven't seen for a while. Look, the weekly is a good one. That daily doesn't look so great just yet. And I think you can see in here the move down, it's popped back up, it's moved down, it's popped up. So that's a lower high on a daily. But in context of this weekly chart, actually the weekly doesn't look too bad at all. Let's just draw that up. Nanosonics. What's the volume on that? Nearly $1 million. It's probably over $1 million. I'm missing one of the exchanges. This is only ASX. It's not GX data. Whether this one's traded a lot on GX or not, I'm not sure. You can see that trend. You can see what's happening here. It's a long-term contraction. So the market, you know, little pop up here, contracted sideways. Then you had that leg up, contracted back. So really just reversion to the mean style. Meaning that you got lower highs, it's just coming back to the average, and then it starts to get bought back up again. You got a good strong leg up there, so really you're probably going to get longer contraction. So remember what we're saying, the market's got to go through stages of contraction back or reversion to the mean, and then it goes into expansion, so where price expands higher. And you know, this is expansion only in a small scale, contraction, reversion to the mean, you know, expansion up again, contraction, expansion. So at the moment it looks like it's longer term. This is the weekly, don't forget, longer term contraction. So just now this is sort of the low, the low you probably have in mind, down around that 225. If it can hold up and build a high low off that level, and just remember, we'll go to the daily, it's had that leg up. If we can pull back somewhere around, what do we say, 240, 220, somewhere around, not above 220 anyway. If we can pull back to say 250, I think even if it retests that level, that's probably the anchor to this recent leg up from around 220 back in late August, if you can see what I'm talking about there. So that's your anchor. If it can pull back, hold another high low, then I think they can take out 3 and then maybe start to show some signs on the longer term basis. On the weekly, you get a lot more buyers stepping in. I'd ideally, let's draw it up on the daily actually. Oh, I can see that. All right. So I'm just getting a few messages through there, guys. Just be a minute. So just looking at that daily, what I wouldn't mind seeing, you can see the market's popped up. It's had another push up. you've probably got your little anchor level. So that's only a minor anchor to this recent leg up. I think we could easily pull back, build a higher low in here. I don't think that's going to be too strong. We may push up to 330, but I think it's that weekly one that's is going to be the key. I think we need to have a bit of a flush out of this recent leg up on the daily, flush a few of these people out and spend more time building a major higher low. And that would be, I'd expect somewhere around 50. If we can build it there, you can see, sorry, just keep flicking back and forth. You can see on the weekly too, it's getting a bit extended up here. So that's probably coinciding to another lower high on the weekly. So you really want to see it push down, you know, not so far down in price, but a lot of selling pressure, really trying to push that down to take out 225. If that's the case, we have to sit back and just watch it. But just by analyzing that weekly chart, it looks like it's in a good position to build a higher low on a weekly, and then drill it down on your daily and try to get that opportunity to, you know, you get a couple of little higher lows on the daily chart. What do we got here? So this is a daily. If we can get, we've got this push up here. If we can get this type of price action, maybe push down, even flush it out, and then start maybe a bit of contraction here and start to hold. And I think that's where you're going to get, well, that's not very good. That's where you're going to get a few more buyers start to enter, holding a major high low when we retest 250 potentially, or up around 260. You get some sellers at lower highs. The sellers are starting to try to pressure, but it's getting soaked up by buyers, and then you get that break to the upside. And I think that will be quite good. So it's definitely got longer term. It's looking really good on NAN. What else we got? NAN. Did I go through bear? Okay, PPS. I actually like premium. Who put that in? Colin. We've been following this for a while. If you just go back on the, oh geez, I missed that one. This is one that I was looking at around here, but you can see these couple of red candles. That was if you're going to buy it on the break up through here. For me, it was more, especially after those couple of red candles, it was more luck than anything else. If you bought there, it wasn't really set up nicely. I mean, that was holding a higher low. It was a bit whippy. But if you go back to, there's reasons to buy this one. They keep premium. They just keep putting on, increasing the funds under management. Each time they report, they seem to increase the funds under management. So they're going in the right direction. Definitely the fundamentals are quite good. They're strong. They're heading in the right direction. It's getting a bit of a head of steam as well. It's only a 57-cent stock at the moment. So it's got a lot of potential to really gather some steam and push up through a buck. And you can see the longer term weekly chart holding high lows. So that's probably your underlying fundamentals are really good. It's just looking for your technical patterns, your technical setups on that. But definitely, I would like, you know, for me to be buying into this just now, I'd like a bit more of a washout or a flush out of these late buys in here, flush them back out, hold another higher low, but more of a cleaner setup for me. Hold a higher low, and then I think it'd be on again. It's definitely looking good. It's going definitely in the right direction there, Colin. Greg, how are you, mate? ACX. All right. Without looking at that, you can see, I don't know, you can see from left to right, it's got lower highs. There's a lot of selling pressure pushing in. A lot of sellers or buyers being put back on the sidelines here. And that gap down on Aconics, that's gap down from around the 550 mark. And opened at 4 and then pressed down to pretty much 3. So that was a horrible, whatever come out there in the way of news wasn't very good. Wasn't taken well by the market. Then you got it pressed up, which is a good thing. It's pretty much tried to close that gap at 5. And that was back in May. And then you had the selling pressure resume. So that selling's resumed. It's only got down to about 350 or 360, and then it started to perk up again. So you can see the buyers are starting to come in at higher prices in here, and starting to lift price back up again. It's just recently pushed up through 5. A couple of red days here. Take a step back to the weekly, and that's a weekly higher low as well. So it's not too bad. You can see that, I guess, what you'd want to be looking at here. It's getting a bit extended just up here, so I wouldn't be surprised if its selling pressure just starts to come back in. It may be a washout of 5 on the weekly chart. Pressure comes back in, but I'd expect, you know, that 450 zone to see some buying again. It is looking pretty good. The only thing is it's popped down. It's really flushed out quite a few traders through that 4 mark. So you can see it's gapped down. That's created a lot more selling, and you'd expect that if there's some bad news out there that wasn't taken well by the market, which obviously wasn't with that gap down. at the beginning of the year. But then the fact that it's been bought up again, it's had that little push down, it's started to get held a major high low around that 350 to 60 mark and started to press back up again. That's quite nice. So that's that price action, recent price action. Not looking too bad. For me, it's not quite set up yet. You'd want it to pull back and maybe hold a higher low, around that 450. And then you'd be just going, a matter of going down to your dailies and see what your daily chart's saying. I don't know what the fundamentals are like on them. Are they quite good? Now what we're looking at here, this is still Aconics. Does that make sense, Greg? With this one here, I think it's got a bit of, and you can see the pressure on pushing it up. It really got extended up towards that 5 mark, and it just managed to get through 5, which is a previous key level. Pushed up through that level, and it's just reacting off there now. Yeah, roughly reacting off there now. So I don't mind seeing that type of price action. If it reacts off 5 or just below, if it reacted down through here, maybe it's not so strong. You're coming up into a key level and you can't quite reach there. It's getting extended. And if it reacted off there, that's probably not as good. But the fact that it's actually managed to push through 5, you'd expect it to a higher low is going to start holding. And the longer term picture is going to start play out nicely. What's next? We've got premium. We did that. BBN. Let's take a look at that. What is is that Billabong? Baby bunting. Where's my charts now? Let me get back up here. Unfortunately, it's still pushing down for my liking. You can see the pressure is heading south. Let's just see what the weekly. There's only really a couple of good things that it's going for it at the moment, I would say. You can see it's just going from left to right. I think that's pretty much all. If I click on all, what you can see, the market's pushed up, it's pulled back, built that higher low, and it's just really extended through the highs. That was way back mid-2016. Since then, the sellers are really taking control of that, and you can see there's got a lower high here. It's had that extension to the downside. Still, that could have held up there and started pressing. That could have been a higher low there. Instead, a couple of red candles on the weekly really started pressing that market down. It reacted off, you can see through here. Actually, let's draw that up. Now, that's what we're saying. So you've got a level through here. So at that stage, when the market pushed up, it was looking good, had a good pullback here. At this stage, you would have expected that to be, we speak, you know you got your Fibonacci, 50% retracement, all that sort of stuff. We look at around 1/3 to 2/3 retracement of a move up. So that's the move up there, 1/3 to 2/3. It puts it in about that range. It's probably just over 50% retracement. If it was strong, it should have lifted from there and started pushing back up again. You can see this week it actually started holding up here, and then bang, a couple of weeks, it's just pushed it back down. So that's weakness coming into the market, all the way back down to this level around that 220 mark. You can see, and it started lifting again just after it pushed out there. Your key level is right up here still, so it can always do that 1, 2 up, and then bang, straight back down again. So that's serious weakness coming into the market. It hasn't showing any signs just yet of finishing. It's the one real thing for it. It's getting a bit extended to the downside here, but if you can see that it was extended down here, it had popped up and then bang, straight back down again. You got a bit of a divergence there, by the way. That's not something we look at, but you can see that the market's popped up. You can see the pressure to the upside here. The buyers are stepping in, but it couldn't get to that recent level around 210. It only got so far as just above 2, and then the sellers have stepped in again. So something not looking the best there, not so good. You get still lower highs, so you can see the lower highs, and every move to the downside you can see here. That red candle is quite severe. Some good selling pressure, selling pressure, selling pressure, and those red candles are really extended, whereas it's a bit of effort to get it back up again. It doesn't really go too far, so lower highs are still in play. It's only thing going for it really. It's in an area where, okay, touched at one, had it got rejected around just below 160, pushed up, straight back down to 160, bounced off there again. So you can see buyers it may be very early stages of buyers starting to defend 160. Does that make sense? But really, apart from that, you know, you've got the level here. It could be an ideal level for buyers to step in. The pressure's still to the downside. You can see those moving averages are still spreading apart on the weekly, so there's still quite a bit of pressure. If that goes through there, then okay, just forget about it. If you're thinking about buying it, but if it's a sell, look for a lower high in there. Does that make sense, Colin? Yeah, no, good. That's good. If it's got good fundamentals there, Greg, that was on ACX, was it? Yeah, ACX. Then it's worth just following that. Does that make sense on baby bunting? So really, from here, I wouldn't touch it just yet. Obviously, looking at the daily chart, it's not showing any good signs either. It's still, you know, there's nothing on the daily. It hasn't started. I think you're going to have to push up through 190 for me to start, and especially if it's off, even if it washes out that level, 160, 150, bang, and gets rejected off there, and you want to see a good rally and take out 180, 190, you want to see that take out there. But then it could just be sitting between, you know, support and resistance and just consolidating between that zone. It could spend a week, years consolidating between, you know, 150 and $2. Doesn't mean it has to break up if it's just finding buyers. They may just range trade it. You don't know. So ideally, if it breaks up through there, all I am convinced of is the fact that, okay, that's a good little zone to buy. There's buyers stepping in there. But whether I want to join the fray, whether it's a new leg up, it could take a long time for that new leg up to be built and to start playing out. Makes sense. So what do we got next? Baby bunting, not Billabong, yeah. What is happening? Is it BBG on Billabong? Still rubbish on that? Jeez, I think when I started doing this, it was just going down. Look at that. Look at that belting it copped on poor old Billabong. $60 stock. Boom, boom, boom. And it's just all this buying, and it got all excited through 01 since 2001 when it floated. Bang. It was before that, wasn't it? 2000. Right up until early mid 2007, all those buyers have been pushed back out of the market. Anyone that's holding it here would just be kicking themselves. And it's still not out of the woods yet. On the sell side, it could still push them back out of the market. So not good on that either way. Nandor, MUS. Let's take a look at that then. Is that Musgrave? Mustang. Whoa. I don't know what's happened, but not good. What does that news say? Made an inferred mineral resource estimate. Did they not hit what expectations were by the looks of it? What's happened to this? By the looks of it, obviously something wasn't taken well by the market. And it's only been in the last few days, it got absolutely pumped. So it looks like, look at that. It's got pumped up to 20 cents and then bang, straight back down again. So I don't actually, what did that news come out and say? Maybe something is not quite as good as expected. Estimate for a growth Mustang has been completed. This demonstrates that there's a prime candidate to supply rapid growth. I'm not too onto my what numbers are good and bad, but I've got a feeling it just didn't hit expectations. Or was there something else to it? Without me boring everyone with the reading of it. WTC. No, will do. And RIA. BRG, all right. So this one, to be honest, I wouldn't. It's the only thing good about Mustang is that it's down in that zone. It's gapped down, back down to 4. Looks like there's a few that pumped it up a bit. It got pumped up, got ahead of itself. All I can guess that the news that came out is not what was expected, and not as good as expected, even though it sounds all right at the start. And generally, when you get those news releases, you start reading, they sound good. You get halfway down, and it's actually quite crappy, or something else has happened that's kicked it down. Up 28% today, so that's great, but it's nowhere near. It's not good when you compare it if you're holding it around 15. So, couldn't sell rubies. Yeah. Okay, so really Mustang, the only good thing about it at the moment is that it's down. So this could be something a bit like wrap. It could spend a lot of time down here, as a lot of these people who bought it up through here and just get cleaned out of the market. And there might have been a lot of people still holding it, thinking it's a good thing. The more time it spends down here, the more likely that they're going to have to get out, or they're going to want to get out, and then just consolidate that loss, I guess. Probably going to take a bit of time to work those late buyers back out of the market. But it is down at that level, around that 4 mark, where it's traded down there before. So you can see it's pushed up from about, 2 cents up to 10, worked its way back down to around that 4. Spent a lot of time doing nothing around there, holding some minor high lows, and you can see it's just starting to go vertical up here, up to 20 cents. That lower high has come into play, then it's gapped down to 10, and then gapped down again. So obviously the news is not quite as good as what everyone's expected. So I would expect this. I would just be sitting around, keeping an eye on it at the moment, just to see what happens. See if you can even close their gap up towards 10. Eventually, I just think it's going to be a long time to do. A long time is going to go before it actually does that. So for me, I'll be sitting on the sidelines watching this one for now. What's the other one? Xiang BRG. Have I skipped anything there? I don't think so, have I? BRG. Let's have a look at that. What's going on here? Breville. That's what's happening there. It's not working. Okay, that's one that's definitely going the right direction. For me, I'll take one step. This is a longer term view. You can see that it's a good push up. This is a monthly chart, by the way, guys. So 09, start of 09 had a nice strong leg up, and that took a few years, right up into the beginning of 2014. Contracted lower, so that was that cycle where it's putting the late buyers back on the sidelines, and it started holding a major high low at 6. And it's been working its way up since, and that's the start of 2016. So we can get that. So this is the current leg up. It's going up. Is it getting a bit extended up here? Are we due for a pullback? I think the weekly, just going by this monthly chart, it's probably got it still could have a bit to go. It still could have a bit of legs in it, in that move, but it's starting to even get extended on that weekly chart. If you're taking a move from somewhere around 2 up to 10, it's $8. If you take it from 6, 12, maybe a couple of bucks in it. So you're probably getting on the late side of the trade, if that makes sense. If you're looking at it, there's nothing to say on the daily you can't get a nice little setup, but even on the daily, it's getting a bit extended up here. The weekly, you look at the weekly too, a bit extended up here. A lot of buying pressure to push it up to above 12. So I would expect probably in the daily it's got to have a bit of a pullback. On the daily, it's got to build a higher low somewhere around, say, 1170, 80, 90, below 12, potentially. And if it starts holding up, then you've got something to base your risk on. But just bearing in mind that you are extended on the weekly as well, and potentially getting a bit extended on the monthly. So all in all, it is going in the right direction on all three, monthly, weekly, and daily. But to me, I would suggest there's probably some better trades around. There's nothing to say that this thing can't keep going, but from a probability perspective, is it a worthwhile trade to put your money into? Is it a high probability? I wouldn't say so. I'd say it's more of a low probability trade. The chances of this thing continue. So just remember, the start of a trade, when you've got, if we can just go back to looking at the weekly, so when the market's contracting lower, in here, prime zone. So for me, that's more of a prime zone where you've got this little washout. Let's just draw it up, actually. I think it's worthwhile drawing that up. No, that's not what I want. Just want to draw that up, guys, just to explain what I'm talking about. So when you're, what you're looking for, what you're always looking for is, in a market, if it's gone up, it's gone quite strong. Say at this stage, the market's pushed up. At this stage here, to me, it's like that. Say maybe you got them something like this set up in here. At that stage, when you're looking at it there, you're thinking, okay, we've got a setup. It's broken through the highs. You take a buy on stop through here, potentially through 9. You know where your risk is, just below that high low in here. But at that stage there, it's a bit like this stage here for me. I'll just take that one back. Are we getting a bit extended? Does that make sense? So you know that market's had a good run up. Are we getting a bit extended? That's not a high probability trade just in here, even though it might look good. Even in here, that entry through there might look good. You're taking off a higher low. You've got that pop up. You know, the risk reward, is it good enough risk reward to be taking that trade? Probably not. What you want is more of that complex correction, is what we got here. And once you get that complex correction, and you can see, well, that's not where I wanted to show you, through these lows, you can see even through that level, the market's come all the way back down. It's reacted off that $6. It's pushed back down. It's bounced back up. It's washed out, but didn't go that far. So it's just a good little sign that buyers are starting to step back in. You got enough supply put back on the sidelines. You can see it's washed out from all the way through 6. So anyone that's holding, $8 and above, be very nervous. They're probably being flushed out of the market, probably, taking a loss, back on the sidelines, ready and raring to go back in again. So a lot of that buying supply has been put back on the sidelines, ready to go. So you've got that fuel that could be the fuel for the next leg up. You're just looking for the entries then. So we got that on this little pop through. We didn't go that far through that low, the previous low at 6, and then we reacted. See that little push back up when you break through? We've broken through, we've come back down, we've retested, even washed out. So after that, you can see the market start to push back up. This is more of that prime zone you want to look for. An entry in here, even, in here, when the market's, you're at the beginning of the leg. So you're still below that high. Does that make sense? Still below that $10 high. So for me, we've had the good strong leg up. We've had a complex correction through there, and we're starting to hold higher lows again. We're starting to build potentially a new leg up through those highs at 10. So you don't know how far it's going to go, but an entry through here or in here, which draw it in a different color, maybe in here is a lot higher probability trade. Does that make sense? I can't remember who asked for this one. Was that using BRG? Yep. So I hope that makes sense there. I hope that makes any questions on those guys, just what we're talking about. But I think compared to where we are at the moment, it's not a high probability trade. I don't think it's worth putting your money into just at the moment. I think you're better off just looking for something else. So that's just me. That's just me. And remember, my advice is only general. All right. Was there anything else? May just be running out of... So that, yes. Awesome. What's the last one? WTC. We'll quickly see if we can go through those two, WTC and probably REA, and we might have to call it a day there. I like this one. WiseTech. The thing is with this one, it's probably, you don't need to tell about that. It's in clear skies, so it is, there's no real resistance zones to be coming into contact with, so it's sort of like Davin says, everyone's a winner up here. If it goes into new highs, you're a winner. If it takes out new highs, again, this comes into that, for me, I don't know what the fundamentals say. Maybe there's a fundamental, it's still undervalued here, and looking at that, I wouldn't buy it. I think we're well and truly extended. You see the last month, right through October, it's just been going higher, WTC. I can't remember if we alerted it somewhere around here looking for that entry, but just missed it, obviously. I would have been gloating if I had that one. But yeah, it's had a, day after day, it's just been pushing higher, and you can see it's been holding that overextended for quite a while. So you've got to ask yourself at this stage, how many more buyers are willing to buy it up here? How many more people are willing to buy it up here to put you into profit if you were going to buy it? And is there a lot more supply on the sidelines ready to go in and buy it at higher prices and push that price market up? If the answer is no, if you can fairly look at that and go, well, I wouldn't expect that we're in an unknown market. It's pretty much clear to every single person that looks at that chart. Thanks, Colin. For me, anyone could look at that and say, which way is the market going? You can ask a kid which way the market going. It's going up. So it's pretty much, we're in the known, well and truly in the known. We're not in the unknown, where when you're in the unknown, you're trading the unknown. If you're holding off high lows, you're trading the unknown. That means it's a better trade. It's a high probability trade. Risk reward is going to be on your side. I think the risk reward's not on your side here. To take the risk, I mean, where are you going to place your risk? Ideally, it has to be all the way back down below 8. Wouldn't ever trade that. And I think to put it just below this minor at 1150, if I was going to buy it here, wouldn't step near it. So for me, you'd have to have a deep correction, and you'd have to have a major flush out, potentially all the way back down to 9. So it could be a couple of dollars in that pullback. So I think it's got a long time to go before this becomes a potential buy again. In saying that, it could go straight up through 13, 14, 15 bucks, and on we go. I think I did miss it through here somewhere when I saw it building through here. So a bit of a bummer. Really nice that. We've traded that a few times, I think, in the past. Done quite well. Not as well as we would have if we traded it through 850. Even, you can see if you did trade that through 850, just broke out through those highs, and we had our stop just below 8 bucks. I mean, realistically, we haven't had an opportunity to raise our risk yet. There hasn't been any little pullback, a couple of down days and then hold a high low and then go again. It's just been bang, straight up. Would have taken a partial now, had to have taken a partial now, even if it's just sheerly on a 50% move. You're locking in 50% gains, so it looks good though. Looks great, wouldn't buy it. If that makes sense. REA, we'll finish off with that one. That's going in the right direction for sure. So if you're holding that one, I guess just trail up your stops. Weekly, let me just get it's getting ahead of itself here. Again, it's one of those things where do you look at it and say, I guess you can look at it from this perspective. Look at it here. Is that a trade that if you're not in, would you be willing to jump into? The risk reward, is it high enough for you to warrant a buy? For me, that answer would be no. You can see that leg up. That's a leg up here. If you I'm just guessing here. So that's, having a leg up there, that's a bit of a washout. It's just flushing in. This sort of move through here is flushing a lot of people out. It just went sideways, so that's not so bad. Sideways here, that would have caught a few people off guard, maybe stopped them out as it's just flushed out through that $40 mark, through those lows, and started building again. And then you got a new leg up, same thing, flushing a lot of people out of the market, putting them back on the sidelines, ready and raring to go. Now this recent leg up is, we've had 1, 2, 3 legs up on the longer term. We're starting to look, just in comparison to what's happened in the past, we're looking to get extended here. We are a bit extended at the moment. I would suggest that, so I think buying up here is probably a low probability trade. Used to be $3. It's like the A2M. That kills me, that A2M. I still look at that and it kills me, missing that. There's been quite a few just recently. I've looked at it and go, that looks great. I either forget about it or I don't alert to it or don't buy it and it just kicks on hard. And it would have been a beautiful entry. But anyway, back to REA. It's, like I said, it's probably getting towards the end of that leg up. So I would rather see that complex correction where it's going to put a few buyers back on the sidelines. We've had a leg up here, maybe something like this, two moves, maybe a bit of holding the lows and then start to look off a high-low entry through here. You know, something like that where you'd want to buy it so you know where your risk is. You're buying potentially at the start of a new leg up. And so that means it's more of a high probability trade once you've had more of a complex correction. And when we talk complex correction, we're talking lower highs when it pushes down, reacts, flushed out a lot of these traders who bought late into that trend up, potentially around 65 to 70. They bought in late, puts them back on the sideline, and then you're getting into a level where maybe around 60, for instance, where new buyers are happy to pay $60 or 62, 63, and to start supporting that, supporting a new leg up anyway. So there you go. That's probably about it. We'll probably call it a day there, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, if you're around on Thursday, if you're waiting for the alert, we won't be doing the live stream on Thursday. I'll be at the races there. Try to get a few alerts out prior to going there and get a few that are set and ready and raring to go. But like I said, there's going to be no stream on Thursday. I will be back in on Monday, the following Monday. So I don't know the date on that. I'm going to count on my fingers. So 13th, back on the 13th. All right, so thanks very much, guys. If you're into the race, I hope you enjoy your Melbourne Cup. If you're based in Melbourne, I hope you enjoy your day off too. I think Sydney, the markets are still open, but generally Melbourne Cup Day is fairly quiet. Most people will be watching the big race. I think it's around 2:30 or 2:45, thereabouts. So I hope you enjoy that day. Enjoy your day off if you get one, and we'll speak to you again on Monday. Cheers, guys. Bye.